She screamed, "Don't take off!" And what happened to the plane minutes later was shocking. Jennifer Parker grabbed the pilot's arm so tightly that her nails nearly pierced the white uniform fabric. Her brown eyes were wide with panic as she screamed at the top of her lungs. "Don't take off, please, don't take off this plane," she shouted, her voice echoing through the small cabin of the single-engine aircraft. Tyler Wilson, the 28-year-old pilot, widened his eyes in surprise. In his 5-year career, he had never witnessed such profound despair. The curly-haired woman who had hired his services for a private flight to the neighboring city seemed to have completely lost her mind. "Ma'am, please calm down," said Tyler, trying to maintain his professional composure despite his racing heart. "I need you to explain what's happening." Jennifer released his arm and brought her hands to her face, beginning to sob uncontrollably. Her tears fell like a waterfall onto the beige blouse she wore, while her entire body trembled in a way Tyler had never seen before. "You don't understand," she whispered between sobs. "If this plane takes off now, my daughter will... She couldn't finish the sentence. The pilot shut off the plane's engines, which were already running for takeoff. The deafening noise ceased, leaving only the sound of wind hitting the cabin windows and Jennifer's desperate sobs. "How your daughter will what?" Tyler asked, removing his headphones and turning fully to face her. Jennifer took a deep breath, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. Her breathing was uneven as she struggled to organize her thoughts. She knew she had to explain, but how could she tell the truth without sounding completely insane? "My daughter Emily is at Mercy General Hospital here in Clearwater," she began, her voice still shaky. "The doctors said she only has a few hours left and I need to be there with her." Tyler felt a pang in his chest. He hadn't expected this revelation. The woman had hired a flight to North Benedictville, which was 2 hours away. Why did she want to go there if her daughter was right here? "But ma'am, if your daughter is here, why do you want to travel to North Benedictville?" he asked, confused. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears again. She looked out the window, staring at the empty runway of the small-town airport. The grey clouds in the sky seemed to mirror exactly how she felt inside. Because I lied to you," she confessed, her voice barely audible. "I didn't want to go to North Benedictville. I wanted to run away from the pain, the responsibility, everything. But at the last minute, I realized I can't abandon my daughter." Tyler fell silent for a few seconds, processing her words. As a pilot, he was used to dealing with nervous passengers, but he had never encountered such an intense family drama. "Can you explain to me what's really going on?" he asked, his voice filled with genuine concern. Jennifer took a deep breath and adjusted herself in the co-pilot's seat. She knew she had to tell the whole truth, even if it meant exposing her worst fears and failures as a mother. "Emily is 15 and has a systemic infection," she began, staring blankly at the plane's control panel. "It all started 3 weeks ago when she fainted at school. At first we thought it was just exhaustion, but the tests showed something much worse." Tyler noticed her hands shaking as she spoke. He decided to shut down the plane completely and give his full attention to this woman who was clearly going through the worst moment of her life. "The doctors tried everything," Jennifer continued, "antibiotics, hospitalization, but nothing worked. Last night, Dr. Richard called me and said there's nothing more they can do." "I'm so sorry," murmured Tyler, unsure of what to say in such a delicate situation. "The worst part is I'm a nurse," Jennifer revealed, a bitter irony in her voice. "I've spent my whole life taking care of others, saving lives, and I couldn't save my own daughter." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. The revelation about Jennifer's profession made Tyler understand her despair better. As a nurse, she likely knew exactly how grave her daughter's condition was, making it all the more painful. "Is that why you wanted to run away?" he asked, his voice free of judgment. "I couldn't bear to see my daughter wasting away in that hospital bed anymore," Jennifer admitted, fresh tears welling up. "When the doctors said it was a matter of hours, something inside me broke. I called the airport, hired you, made up that story about a trip to North Benedictville. But you changed your mind at the last minute," Tyler finished. I did because I realized that no matter how much it hurts, I can't abandon my daughter. When she needs me most, she said, her voice heavy with guilt and regret. Tyler pulled a tissue from his shirt pocket and handed it to Jennifer. She accepted it gratefully, wiping her face as she tried to compose herself. "Do you want me to take you back to the hospital?" he offered. "You'd do that?" Jennifer asked, surprised by the young pilot's kindness. "Of course," Tyler replied without hesitation. "I can use the company car. The airport is only 15 minutes from Mercy General Hospital." Jennifer felt a wave of relief mixed with gratitude. This young man, whom she barely knew, was willing to help her in the worst moment of her life. "Thank you so much," she said, her voice trembling. "I'll still pay the full price for the flight. You wasted your time with me and—" "Don't worry about that now," Tyler interrupted, already standing and packing up the equipment. "What matters is getting you to your daughter." As Tyler secured the plane, Jennifer stared out the window. Outside, the first raindrops began to fall on the runway. The dark sky felt like an omen of what awaited her at the hospital. "All set," Tyler said. "We can go." They stepped out of the aircraft and hurried to the small airport parking lot. Tyler opened the passenger door of a white sedan with the aviation company's logo on the sides. During the drive to the hospital, Jennifer shared more about Emily, how she was a brilliant student who dreamed of becoming a veterinarian, how she loved animals and always brought home injured cats she found on the street, how she was the light of Jennifer's life, especially after Emily's father abandoned them 3 years ago. "Emily is all I have," Jennifer confessed as she watched the streets of Clearwater pass by the window. "When my husband left, she was my strength to keep going. Now the thought of losing her, it feels like my world is ending." Tyler, who had thought his own life was full of problems, began to realize how small his struggles were compared to what this woman was facing. He'd become a pilot against his parents' wishes. They wanted him to be a lawyer like his father. He'd fought with his family over it, but in the end it was just a difference of opinion. Jennifer was battling something far greater. "Do you have any other family?" he asked, trying to understand her situation better. "My mother lives in Denver, but she's 82 and can't travel," Jennifer explained. "My siblings live far away and, well, we were never very close. Since Michael left me, I've been raising Emily practically alone." When they arrived at Mercy General Hospital, Jennifer felt her stomach churn. The white 4-story building looked menacing under the overcast sky. Tyler parked in front of the main entrance and turned to her. "Do you want me to come in with you?" he offered. Jennifer was surprised by the gesture. This young man didn't even know her, yet he was showing more kindness than many people she considered friends. "You don't have to trouble yourself," she said, but her voice betrayed her wish not to face this alone. "It's no trouble," Tyler insisted. "Sometimes it's good to have someone by your side during hard times." They entered the hospital together. The sharp smell of disinfectant and the heavy atmosphere made Jennifer's chest tighten. As a nurse, she was used to hospitals, but as a desperate mother, this place took on a completely different meaning. "Jennifer," a familiar voice echoed down the hallway. She turned and saw Dr. Richard Thompson, the physician overseeing Emily's case, walking toward her. The man in his early 50s wore a grave expression, making Jennifer's heart race even faster. "Doctor, how is she?" Jennifer asked, her voice barely audible. "Come with me," Dr. Richard said, avoiding a direct answer. "We need to talk." Tyler stayed behind, sensing this was a private moment between mother and doctor. Jennifer followed Dr. Richard to a small, secluded room at the end of the hall, where difficult conversations usually took place. "Sit down, Jennifer," the doctor said, closing the door behind them. Is she still—" Jennifer couldn't finish the question. "Emily is alive," Dr. Richard replied quickly, recognizing her despair. "But I need to be honest with you. Her condition has worsened in the last few hours." Jennifer's legs trembled. She gripped the chair and sat down, bracing herself for the worst. "What happened?" she asked. "The infection has spread more than we expected," the doctor explained. "Her kidneys are starting to fail and, well, you know what that means." As a nurse, Jennifer knew exactly what it meant. Renal failure in an already critical case was a sign the body was breaking down. "How long?" she asked, her voice almost inaudible. It's hard to say, Dr. Richard answered. Could be hours, could be a day. It depends on how her body responds to the treatment we're trying. Can I see her? Jennifer asked. Of course, the doctor said. She's in the ICU. She's been in and out of consciousness, but she still recognizes people. They left the room and headed to the elevator. Tyler, who had been waiting in the lobby, saw Jennifer pass by and could tell from her face the news wasn't good. He decided to stay nearby in case she needed anything. In the ICU, Jennifer put on the required protective gear and entered Emily's room. The 15-year-old girl looked even younger lying in that bed, surrounded by tubes and machines. Her brown hair, usually as full as her mother's, was spread across the pillow. "Hi, sweetheart," Jennifer whispered, holding her daughter's hand. Emily slowly opened her eyes. When she saw her mother, she tried to muster a weak smile. "Mom, where were you?" Emily asked, her voice barely a whisper. The question struck Jennifer like a knife. Emily had noticed her absence, just when she needed her most. "I'm sorry, baby," Jennifer said, tears streaming down her face. "Mom made a mistake, but I'm here now. I won't leave your side again." "I'm scared, Mom," Emily admitted, weakly squeezing Jennifer's hand. "I know, sweetheart," Jennifer replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "But you're strong. You'll get through this." "What if I can't make it?" asked Emily, her eyes filling with tears. Jennifer felt her world crumbling. How could she answer a question like that? How could she give hope when she herself had lost all hope just hours ago? "You will make it," she said, more to herself than to her daughter. "You have to." Emily closed her eyes, clearly exhausted from the effort of speaking. Jennifer stayed there holding her hand, watching every breath, every heartbeat on the monitors. 2 hours passed when Dr. Richard entered the room again. His weary expression suggested he had news, and not necessarily good news. "Jennifer, I need to speak with you," he said quietly. They stepped out of the room and into the hallway. Jennifer braced herself mentally for yet another devastating update. "The latest tests show the infection is spreading faster than we thought," Dr. Richard explained. "Her condition is deteriorating." "Is there anything else we can try?" Jennifer asked desperately. "There's an experimental treatment," the doctor said after a pause. "But it's risky and expensive, very expensive." "How much?" Jennifer asked immediately. "Around $300,000, Dr. Richard replied. "And even then, there are no guarantees. It's an imported drug still in the testing phase." Jennifer felt lost. As a nurse at the public hospital, her salary barely covered basic household expenses. $300,000 was an impossible sum for her. "Are you sure there's no other option?" she pressed. "Jennifer, you know if there were, I would have suggested it already," Dr. Richard said regretfully. "This medication is the only option left." Jennifer returned to Emily's side with an even heavier heart. How could she possibly get $300,000 in a matter of hours? Her house was worth about $150,000, but even if she sold everything she had, she'd still be short half the amount. "Mom." Emily opened her eyes again. "Why? Are you crying?" "It's nothing, sweetheart," Jennifer lied, trying to hide her tears. "Mom's fine." "I know when you're lying," Emily said with difficulty. "Is it about my condition?" Jennifer didn't know how to respond. Emily had always been sharp and perceptive. Trying to hide the truth from her would be pointless. "The doctors found a treatment that might help you," Jennifer said, choosing her words carefully. "But?" Emily sensed there was more. "It's expensive," Jennifer admitted. "Very expensive." "How much?" Emily asked. $300,000, Jennifer answered softly. Emily closed her eyes and stayed silent for a few minutes. When she opened them again, there was a strange determination in her gaze. "Mom, I don't want you to go into debt because of me," she said haltingly. "Don't talk like that," Jennifer scolded. "You're my daughter. I'd do anything for you. Promise me you won't do anything reckless," Emily pleaded, squeezing her mother's hand with what little strength she had. Jennifer couldn't answer. How could she promise that when she was willing to do whatever it took to save her daughter? That night, Jennifer never left Emily's side. Tyler had left after making sure she was okay, but promised to return the next day to check on the situation. Around 3 in the morning, when Emily finally fell asleep, Jennifer stepped out of the room for some air. In the empty hospital hallway, she came face to face with her own demons. How could she get $300,000? She knew people with money, but none who could lend such a large sum. She could try a bank loan, but with her income, she'd never qualify for that much. Then she remembered something she'd tried to forget years ago. Michael Reynolds, the ex-husband, had become a successful businessman in New York City after abandoning them. He had enough money to help, but could she swallow her pride and ask for help from the man who destroyed her family? Jennifer picked up her phone and stared at Michael's number, which she still had saved. It was almost 4 in the morning, but that didn't matter. If there was a chance to save Emily, she would try. She took a deep breath and dialed the number. The phone rang several times before a groggy voice answered. "Hello?" Michael's voice sounded irritated. "Michael, it's me, Jennifer," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Jennifer, what time is it? What's wrong?" Michael sounded confused and concerned. "It's about Emily," she said. "She's very sick, and I need your help." There was silence on the other end. Jennifer could picture Michael sitting up in bed, processing the news. "What kind of help?" he finally asked. "Money," Jennifer replied bluntly. $300,000 for a treatment that could save her. $300,000? Michael sounded shocked. "Jennifer, that's a lot of money. What's wrong with her?" Jennifer quickly explained Emily's medical condition. As she spoke, she could feel the tension growing on the other end. "Why didn't you call me sooner?" Michael asked when she finished. "Because you walked out on us, remember?" Jennifer shot back, unable to hide the hurt. 3 years ago, you decided you didn't want anything to do with us anymore." "That's not true," Michael protested. "I offered child support, I offered financial help. You were the one who refused to take anything." "You offered money, not your presence," Jennifer countered. "Emily needed her father, not checks. And now you're asking me for money," Michael pointed out, bitterness in his voice. "Now I'm asking you to save your daughter," Jennifer corrected. "If you still have any love for her at all." Another long silence followed. Jennifer held her breath, knowing Emily's life depended on his answer. "I need to think about it," Michael finally said. "I'll call you tomorrow." "Michael, there's no time to think," Jennifer insisted. "Every hour that passes, I said I need to think," he interrupted. "It's a lot of money, Jennifer. I have other responsibilities now." "Other responsibilities?" Jennifer repeated, anger rising. "Your daughter is dying." "I'll call you tomorrow," Michael repeated, then hung up. Jennifer stared at the phone in disbelief. Even in their daughter's desperate situation, Michael cared more about money than Emily's life. She returned to the room and sat by her daughter's bed. Emily slept fitfully, and the monitors showed her condition was slowly worsening. The next morning, Tyler arrived at the hospital as promised. He brought coffee and sandwiches for Jennifer, who had barely eaten in the last 24 hours. "How was her night?" he asked, looking at Emily in bed. "Not great," Jennifer admitted. "And I found out there's a treatment that could help her, but it costs $300,000. Tyler nearly choked on his coffee. $300,000? Wow, that's a lot of money. "I called my ex-husband in the middle of the night," Jennifer said. "He told me he'd think about it and call me today." "And has he?" Tyler asked. "Not yet," Jennifer replied, glancing at her phone. "It's already 10 in the morning." As if on cue, Jennifer's phone rang. It was Michael. She answered quickly. "Michael?" "Jennifer, I spoke to my wife about the situation," he said, his voice formal and distant. "And?" Jennifer asked, her heart racing. "We can help with $100,000, Michael said. "That's the most we can spare, right now." $100,000? Jennifer repeated, stunned. "Michael, it's $300,000. We'd still be $200 short." "I'm sorry, Jennifer, but it's all I can do," he said. "If you want, I can transfer it today." "And the rest?" asked Jennifer, desperate. "I don't know what to tell you," replied Michael. "Maybe you can get a loan or—" "A loan for $200,000? interrupted Jennifer. "You know that's impossible with my income. Jennifer, I'm trying to—" Help within my means, said Michael, starting to sound annoyed. Your means, repeated Jennifer, her voice rising. You have a company that makes millions a year. My financial situation has changed, Michael said vaguely. I have a lot of expenses now. What expenses are more important than your daughter's life? Shouted Jennifer. Don't yell at me, Michael shot back. I'm offering $100,000. Take it or leave it. Jennifer took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. As infuriating as his attitude was, $100,000 was better than nothing. Fine, she said finally. Transfer the $100,000. I'll try to get the rest somehow. I'll send you the bank details by text, said Michael. And Jennifer, I hope Emily gets better. After hanging up, Jennifer stared at her phone. She still needed $200,000 and had no idea how to get it. Did you get anything? Asked Tyler, who had listened to the conversation. 100,000, Jennifer replied. We still need 200,000. Tyler was thoughtful for a few minutes. Finally, he spoke. I have an idea, he said. It might sound crazy, but... Tell me, urged Jennifer, willing to hear any suggestion. My Uncle Harold owns a transport company here in the area, Tyler explained. He's a bit grumpy, but he has a good heart. Maybe if I explain the situation... You'd do that? Jennifer asked, surprised. I can try, said Tyler. It doesn't hurt to ask. But why do you want to help me? Jennifer asked. You barely know me. Because... Tyler hesitated for a moment. Because I've lost important people in my life when I couldn't do anything to save them. If I can help now, I'll try. Jennifer felt a wave of gratitude for this young man who had appeared in her life at the hardest moment. Do you want me to come with you? She offered. I think it's better if I go alone first, said Tyler. I know my uncle. If I can get him interested in the story, then you can meet him later. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, Tyler left the hospital determined to convince his uncle to help. Harold Wilson was known in town as a tough man to deal with, but also as someone who wouldn't refuse help if he believed in the cause. Wilson Transport was located in a large warehouse on the outskirts of town. Harold was in his office reviewing spreadsheets when Tyler arrived. Tyler, what are you doing here? Asked Harold, surprised. Shouldn't you be flying? Uncle, I need to talk to you about something important, said Tyler, sitting in the chair across from his uncle's desk. Harold was a 60-year-old man with graying hair and a serious demeanor that intimidated many. But Tyler knew that behind that rough exterior was a generous heart. Go on, said Harold, crossing his arms. Tyler told the whole story, starting from the moment Jennifer shouted at him not to take off in the plane. He explained Emily's condition, the experimental treatment, and the struggle to get the money. $200,000, Harold repeated when Tyler finished. That's a lot of money, son. I know, Uncle, said Tyler, but this woman is desperate. Her daughter might not make it through the day. Harold was silent for a few minutes, drumming his fingers on the desk as he thought. Why are you getting involved in this? He finally asked. You barely know this woman. Because it's the right thing to do, replied Tyler. And because I know you'd do the same if you were in my position? Harold sighed deeply. Tyler recognized that sound. It was the noise his uncle made when considering something against his practical nature. You want me to lend $200,000 to a stranger, Harold summarized. I want you to save the life of a 15-year-old girl, Tyler corrected. And what if she doesn't survive even with the treatment? Harold asked. Have you thought about that? I lose $200,000 and the girl might not even recover. And what if she does survive? Tyler countered. It's worth trying. Harold stood and walked to the window, watching the activity in the company yard. His employees loaded trucks, organized deliveries, and worked hard to keep the business running. I want to meet this woman first, he finally said. If I'm investing this much money, I need to look her in the eyes and see if it's worth it. Tyler smiled. He knew his uncle well enough to recognize this was practically a confirmation he'd help. Can I take you to the hospital now? Tyler asked. Let's go, Harold said, grabbing the car keys. On the way to the hospital, Harold asked many questions about Jennifer. He wanted to know about her profession, her story, how she'd raised her daughter alone. Tyler answered everything. He knew, sensing his uncle was genuinely interested in understanding the situation. When they arrived at Mercy General Hospital, they found Jennifer in the hallway speaking with Dr. Richard. From the doctor's expression, Tyler could tell the news wasn't good. "Jennifer," Tyler called, "this is my uncle Harold Wilson." Jennifer turned and greeted Harold politely, but it was clear her mind was still focused on her conversation with the doctor. "Excuse me," Dr. Richard said. "You can keep talking, but I need to check on other patients." Once the doctor walked away, Jennifer turned to Harold and Tyler. "Her condition has worsened," she said, her voice trembling. Dr. Richard said, "We have until tomorrow at the latest to decide on the treatment." "What do you mean, decide?" Tyler asked. "If we don't get the money by tomorrow, it'll be too late to start the treatment," Jennifer explained, tears welling up again. Harold studied Jennifer in silence. He saw the genuine despair in her eyes, the love of a mother willing to do anything for her daughter. It was exactly what he needed to see. "Mrs. Parker," he said, "Tyler told me about your situation." I know I have no right to ask strangers for help," Jennifer began. "But you do," Harold interrupted. "When it comes to a child's life, we all have the right to ask and the duty to help." Jennifer looked at him, not daring to hope. "I'll lend you the $200,000, Harold said plainly. Jennifer's legs nearly gave out. Tyler steadied her arm so she wouldn't fall. "Really?" she asked, disbelieving. "Very much so," Harold confirmed. "But I have a few conditions." "Anything," Jennifer said quickly. "First, I want to meet your daughter," Harold said. "Second, you'll pay me back, but on your own time and with no interest. Third, I want to follow the treatment to ensure the money is being used properly." Yes, of course," Jennifer agreed, still in shock. "Thank you so much. I don't know how to thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Harold said. "Right now, you need to arrange the necessary documents so I can transfer the money today." The next few minutes were a whirlwind. Harold called his accountant to arrange the transfer. Jennifer contacted Dr. Richard to confirm the treatment payment details, and Tyler helped with the paperwork. Meanwhile, they took Harold to meet Emily. The girl was awake, but visibly weak. When she learned that the unknown gentleman was going to help save her, her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you so much, sir," she whispered. "Don't thank me yet," said Harold, gently touching her hand. "First, you need to get better. Then we'll talk." By around 4 in the afternoon, everything had been arranged. The hospital confirmed receiving the $300,000, and Dr. Richard informed them that the experimental medication would be sent from New York City that very night. "The treatment will begin tomorrow morning," the doctor explained. "It's important everyone understands this is still experimental. I can't guarantee anything." "We understand," said Jennifer. "At least now she has a chance." That night, Jennifer never left Emily's side. Harold and Tyler also stayed at the hospital, wanting to be there for the start of the treatment. It was strange how 3 people who barely knew each other had come together for a common cause. "Why are you doing this for us?" Jennifer asked Harold and Tyler. "Because sometimes life gives us the opportunity to make a difference," Harold replied. "And it's our duty to take those opportunities. And because I believe good people deserve help," Tyler added. The next morning, Dr. Richard arrived early with a team of specialized nurses. The experimental medication had arrived overnight and was being prepared for administration. "I need to explain the risks again," the doctor said. "This medication could save Emily, but it may also cause severe adverse reactions." "What are the chances of success?" Jennifer asked. "About 40%, Dr. Richard answered honestly. "It's not much, but it's better than no chance at all." "We want to try," Jennifer said, holding Emily's hand. "I do too," Emily confirmed weakly. The treatment began at 9 in the morning. Emily was sedated and taken to a special room where she would receive the medication through a series of infusions. The process would last 12 uninterrupted hours. Jennifer, Harold, and Tyler took turns in the waiting room. The hours felt endless. Every moment they hoped Dr. Richard would appear with some news, good or bad. Around noon, something unexpected happened. Michael showed up at the hospital. Jennifer saw him walking down the hallway and felt a mix of surprise and anger. "What are you doing here?" she asked as he approached. "I heard you got the money for the treatment," Michael said, avoiding direct eye contact. "I came to see how Emily is doing." "Now you care?" Jennifer shot back, after only offering a third of what she needed. "Jennifer, please," Michael pleaded. "I know I was being selfish. I came to apologize and to offer more help if you need it." "More help?" Jennifer repeated skeptically. "I spoke to my wife last night," Michael explained. "She made me realize I was being an idiot. I can get another $50,000 if necessary." "It's too late now," Jennifer said coldly. "These people here," she pointed to Harold, "and Tyler did what you, her father, should have done." Michael looked at Harold and Tyler, realizing they had done what he hadn't had the courage to do. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know I don't deserve it, but can I stay until we know the outcome?" Jennifer was about to refuse when Tyler stepped forward. "Let him stay," Tyler said quietly. "Emily might want to see her father when she wakes up." Jennifer sighed. As angry as she was at Michael, Tyler was right. If Emily survived, she might want to see her father. "You can stay," she said, "but don't you dare act like Father of the Year." The hours dragged on. Dr. Richard appeared from time to time with updates on the treatment. At 3 in the afternoon, he reported that Emily was responding well so far. At 6 in the evening, he said there were no signs of adverse reactions. By 9 at night, he finally delivered the news everyone had been waiting for. "The treatment is complete," announced Dr. Richard. "Now it's a matter of waiting to see how her body responds." "How long until we know if it worked?" asked Jennifer. 48 hours, the doctor replied. "If there's no improvement then it means the treatment didn't work." "And if there is improvement?" asked Harold. "If there is, it will still take a few weeks to know if the recovery will be complete," Dr. Richard explained. "But the important thing is that in the next 48 hours, we'll know if we're on the right track." Emily was taken back to the ICU, still sedated. Jennifer could only see her through the glass, but she felt calmer knowing the treatment had been administered without complications. "Now we just wait," she said, more to herself than to the others. "We'll wait together," said Harold, placing a fatherly hand on her shoulder. That night, everyone slept at the hospital. Jennifer in a chair beside Emily's bed, Harold and Tyler in the waiting room chairs, and Michael on a bench in the hallway. It was a silent vigil, each grappling with their own fears and hopes. The next morning, Emily woke from sedation. She was weak but conscious. When she saw Jennifer by her side, she tried to smile. "Mom," she whispered. "Hi, sweetheart," Jennifer replied, holding her hand. "How are you feeling?" "Tired, but different," Emily said. "I can't explain it." Dr. Richard entered the room to conduct the first post-treatment evaluation. He ran a series of quick tests and drew blood for labs. "How does she seem, doctor?" Jennifer asked anxiously. "It's still too early to say anything definitive," Dr. Richard replied, "but her vitals are stable. That's a good sign." Throughout the day, Emily received visits from Harold, Tyler, and even Michael. The girl was surprised to see her father there. "Dad?" she asked, confused. "Hi, sweetheart," Michael said, approaching the bed. "I came to see how you're doing." "Where were you all these days?" Emily asked. Michael didn't know how to answer. How could he explain to his sick daughter that he had hesitated to help her? "I had some problems to take care of," he lied up, "but I'm here now." Emily didn't press further, but Jennifer noticed the girl didn't believe her father's explanation. On the second day after treatment, Dr. Richard arrived with the new test results. Jennifer, Harold, Tyler, and Michael waited anxiously in the hallway as he stepped out of Emily's room. "I have good news," the doctor said, a smile forming on his face. "The infection is receding." "What do you mean?" Jennifer asked, barely believing what she heard. "The latest tests show the infection is significantly decreasing," Dr. Richard explained. "The medication is working." Jennifer's legs nearly gave way from relief. Harold steadied her by the arm, himself moved by the news. "Does this mean she'll be okay?" Tyler asked. "It means we're on the right track," Dr. Richard replied. "It's too early to declare victory, but it's the best outcome we could." hope for at this stage. "Can I tell her?" Jennifer asked. "Of course," the doctor said. "I think she'll be very happy." When Jennifer entered the room and shared the good news, Emily began to cry with relief. "Does this mean I'll get to leave here?" she asked. "It means you're fighting and winning," Jennifer replied. "But you still need to recover fully." "How long?" Emily asked. "Dr. Richard said it might take a few weeks," Jennifer explained, "but the important thing is you're getting better." In the following days, Emily's improvement was evident. She regained her appetite, started talking more, and even asked to get out of bed to walk around the room a little. Harold visited every day, always bringing something: fruit, magazines, games to keep Emily entertained. Tyler also became a constant presence, telling stories about his flights to amuse the girl. Michael tried to be present, but it was clear there was distance between him and Emily. The girl was polite but didn't show the same joy at seeing him as she did with Harold and Tyler. A week after treatment, Dr. Richard had even better news. "Emily can leave the ICU," he announced. "We'll move her to a regular room." "Is that good?" asked Jennifer. "It's great," the doctor confirmed. "It means she no longer needs intensive care. The transfer to the regular room was a moment of celebration. Emily was emotional when she could finally sit up normally in bed and look out the window. "Mom, I can see the trees," she said, amazed. "It's been so long since I saw the outside world." "Soon you'll be able to go out and see everything up close," Jennifer promised. That afternoon, Harold pulled Jennifer aside for a private talk in the hallway. "I need to talk to you about the money," he said. "Go ahead," Jennifer replied, assuming he wanted to set up a payment plan. "I want you to forget the debt," Harold said, completely surprising her. "What do you mean?" She asked. "I don't want you to pay me back," he explained. "Consider it a gift for Emily." "Harold, that's $200,000, Jennifer protested. "I can't accept that." "You can, and you will," Harold insisted. "I have more money than I need, and I don't have children to leave it to. Let me do this for you." "But," Jennifer started. "No buts," Harold interrupted. "The only thing I want in return is for Emily to fully recover and be happy." Jennifer couldn't hold back her tears. She hugged Harold tightly, feeling a gratitude she could never put into words. "Thank you so much," she whispered. "You saved my daughter." "We saved your daughter," Harold corrected. "Me, you, Tyler, even Michael, each in our own way." 2 weeks later, Emily was discharged. When Dr. Richard gave the news, she jumped out of bed and hugged her mother with a strength she hadn't shown in months. "Can I go home?" she asked, thrilled. "Yes, you can," the doctor confirmed, "but you'll still need weekly checkups for a few months." "I'll do whatever it takes," Emily promised. On the day of her discharge, Harold and Tyler were there to say goodbye. Michael also showed up but kept his distance. "Emily," Harold said, "now that you're better, I have a proposal for you." "What proposal?" the girl asked curiously. "How about working with me during school breaks?" Harold offered. "You could help in the office, learn about business. What do you think?" "Really?" Emily asked excitedly. "Absolutely," Harold confirmed. "And you too, Jennifer. If you'd like to leave the hospital for a job at my company, the position is yours." Jennifer was surprised by the offer but also tempted. Working with Harold would be a chance to build a new, stable life for her and Emily. "Can I think about it?" she asked. "Of course," Harold said. "The offer doesn't expire." Tyler also stepped forward to say goodbye. "Emily, once you're fully recovered, how about I take you for a flight?" he offered. "A real one this time, not one cancelled at the last minute." "I'd love that," Emily replied, smiling. "What about you, Jennifer?" Tyler asked. "Want to come too?" "Only if you promise I won't scream to stop takeoff," Jennifer joked. Everyone laughed, remembering how it had all begun. When they arrived home, Jennifer and Emily sat on the porch of the small house where they lived. It was a sunny day, and Emily took a deep breath, feeling the fresh air fill her lungs. "Mum," she said after a few moments of silence. "Yes, sweetheart," Jennifer replied. "Thank you for never giving up on me," Emily said, her voice thick with emotion. "I would never give up on you," Jennifer answered. "You're the most important thing in my life. And thank you for finding such special people to help us," Emily added. Sometimes life puts the right people in our path at just the right time, Jennifer reflected. Harold and Tyler are angels who appeared when we needed them most. What about Dad? Emily asked. He tried to help too. Jennifer sighed. Your father did what he could within his limitations. I can't judge him too harshly. But you're still hurt by him, Emily observed. A little, Jennifer admitted. But the hurt is fading. What matters is that you're okay. That night, Emily slept in her own bed for the first time in nearly a month. Jennifer stayed awake for hours, just watching her daughter sleep, still hardly believing everything had turned out all right. A week later, Harold called to check how Emily was adjusting at home. She's doing great, Jennifer reported. She's back in school, eating well, and last week's tests showed she's completely healed. That's wonderful, Harold said. And have you thought about my job offer? I have, Jennifer replied. I accept. Really? Harold sounded surprised and delighted. Really? Jennifer confirmed. But I'd like to start slow, maybe part-time at first. Perfect, Harold said. We can discuss the details whenever you're ready. A month later, Jennifer was working in Harold's office, handling administrative tasks. It was a completely different environment from the hospital, but she was adapting well. Emily, who had fully returned to her classes, spent afternoons in the office doing homework and helping with small tasks. Harold had become like a grandfather to her, always attentive and caring. Tyler had also become a constant presence in their lives. He and Jennifer had developed a friendship that grew stronger every day, and Emily loved listening to his flying stories. Jennifer, Tyler said one afternoon as they drank coffee in the office, can I ask you something personal? Of course, she replied. Do you regret yelling at me not to take off in the plane that day? He asked. Jennifer smiled. Never. If I hadn't yelled, I wouldn't have met you or Harold. You saved my daughter and changed our lives. And you changed mine too, Tyler said. You made me realize sometimes it's worth taking a risk to help others. How so? Jennifer asked. Well, I was thinking... Tyler hesitated for a moment. How about we have dinner together one of these days? Just the two of us. Jennifer felt her heart race. Over the past few months, she'd realized she had special feelings for Tyler, but wasn't sure if they were mutual. That would be lovely, she replied, smiling. That evening, when Jennifer told Emily about Tyler's invitation, the girl was thrilled. Mom, do you like him? Emily asked. I do, Jennifer admitted. He's a very special person. And he likes you too, Emily declared. It's obvious. How do you know? Jennifer asked, amused. By the way he looks at you, Emily explained, and the way he takes care of us. 3 months later, Jennifer and Tyler were officially dating. Harold joked that he'd accidentally become a matchmaker, since it was through him that the two had grown even closer. Emily had fully recovered. Her medical tests showed no trace of the infection that had nearly taken her away. She had become an even more mature and grateful teenager. Michael still showed up sporadically to visit Emily, but there was no longer any tension between him and Jennifer. She had learned to forgive, not because he deserved it, but for her own peace of mind. Mom, Emily said one Saturday morning over breakfast, can I ask you something? Always, Jennifer replied. Do you still have a fear of flying? Emily asked. Why do you ask? Jennifer questioned, curious. Because Tyler said he's taking me flying next week, and I thought it'd be fun if you came along, Emily explained. Jennifer smiled. You know what? I don't think I'm afraid anymore. At least not when it's with Tyler. So you'll come? Emily pressed. I will, Jennifer confirmed, but this time I won't scream to stop the takeoff. Let's hope not, Emily teased. Otherwise he might change his mind about dating you. They laughed together, and Jennifer felt a deep happiness she hadn't experienced in years. Her life had changed completely since that day at the airport, when she'd screamed for Tyler not to take off. The following week, the three of them boarded the same plane where it had all begun. Emily was radiant, excited for her first flight. Jennifer was nervous but confident. Tyler was happy to have his two favorite people with him. Ready? Tyler asked, turning to Jennifer in the co-pilot seat. Ready, she replied, holding his hand. And you, Emily? He asked, glancing back. Beyond ready, the girl answered with a smile. This time, when the plane's engines roared to life, There were no desperate screams, just laughter and anticipation. The aircraft lifted off smoothly, carrying them on a peaceful flight over the city. As they flew, Jennifer looked down and saw Clearwater from a perspective she'd never experienced before. The town seemed small and peaceful below, and she thought about how drastically her life had changed in such a short time. "What are you thinking about?" Tyler asked. "How fate works in mysterious ways," Jennifer replied. "If Emily hadn't gotten sick, if I hadn't tried to run away, if you hadn't been so understanding, none of this would have happened. So you're grateful your daughter got sick?" Tyler teased. "Obviously not," Jennifer laughed, "but I'm grateful for everything that came after. For meeting you and Harold, for discovering there are still good people in the world, for getting a second chance at happiness. And I'm grateful. You screamed for me not to take off," Tyler said. "It was the best flight cancellation of my career." When they returned to the airport, Harold was waiting for them. He'd prepared a small barbecue to celebrate Emily's first flight. "How was it?" he asked, hugging Emily as she stepped off the plane. "Amazing," the girl replied. "Now I get why Tyler loves flying so much." "And you, Jennifer?" Harold asked. "How was flying without screaming?" "Much better," Jennifer laughed. "Definitely much better." That afternoon, as they ate and chatted in the small airport hangar, Jennifer looked around and felt complete. Emily was healthy and happy, eagerly talking to Harold about planes. Tyler was by her side, planning their next flight together. "You know," Harold said suddenly, "I've been thinking about expanding the company." "How so?" Tyler asked. "What if we added air taxi services?" Harold suggested. "We could do regional flights for people who need quick transportation." "That's a great idea," Tyler agreed. "And I'd already have a co-pilot in training," he added, winking at Jennifer. "Me? A co-pilot?" Jennifer laughed. "I think you've forgotten how our story started." "Exactly why," Tyler said. "If you can stop a flight by screaming, imagine what you can do by helping it fly." Everyone laughed, and Emily stood up to get more soda. When she returned, she brought a camera she had received from Harold the month before. "Let's take a picture," she suggested, "to remember this day." They gathered together, and Emily asked an airport employee to take the photo. In the image, they were all smiling, with the plane in the background and the blue sky above them. "This photo will stay on my desk," said Harold, "to remind me that sometimes the best things in life start with the worst scares." 6. Months later, Harold's company had truly expanded to include air taxi services. Tyler was the lead pilot, and Jennifer had started flying lessons in her free time. Emily was in her senior year of high school and had already decided she wanted to study business, to one day help manage the company that had become like a second family to her. Michael still visited sporadically, but had accepted that his relationship with Emily would always be limited by the choices he'd made in the past. At least now he contributed financially without being asked, trying to make up for his absence during the toughest times. "Jennifer," Tyler said one evening as they had dinner at home. "Yes," she replied. "I've been thinking about something," he said, sounding nervous. "What is it?" Jennifer asked, sensing something different in his demeanor. "Well, we've been together for a while. Emily accepts me as part of the family, Harold. Treats me like a son," Tyler began. "And I love you so much." Jennifer's heart raced. Though she knew they loved each other, it was the first time he'd said it so openly. "I love you too," she answered. "So..." Tyler stood up and pulled a small box from his pocket. "Will you marry me?" Jennifer was speechless. She looked at the box, then at Tyler, then at Emily, who was watching with a huge smile on her face. "Did Emily know?" Jennifer asked. "Of course I knew," the girl laughed. "He asked for my permission last week." "And what did you say?" Jennifer asked, still in shock. "I said if he made you happy, he had my blessing," Emily replied. Jennifer looked back at Tyler, who was still on one knee, waiting for an answer. "Yes," she finally said. "Yes, I'll marry you." Tyler stood up and kissed her as Emily clapped excitedly. It was the perfect ending to a story that had begun with so much despair. A year later, Jennifer and Tyler married in a simple ceremony at the town church. Harold was the best man, Emily was the maid of honor, and even Michael attended the wedding. Dr. Richard was also there, happy to see the family he'd helped save thriving. He always remembered Emily's case as an example of why it's worth fighting against all odds. "You know," Harold said to Jennifer during the reception, "I'm so glad you screamed to stop the plane that day." "Why?" Jennifer asked, dancing with her new husband. "Because if you hadn't, I never would have gained a daughter. And a granddaughter," Harold replied, emotional. Jennifer felt her eyes well up. Harold had become the father she'd never had, and the grandfather Emily always deserved. 2 years after the wedding, Jennifer and Tyler had a daughter, Charlotte. Emily, now in college, loved helping care for her little sister. Harold, now 65, began gradually passing more responsibilities to Jennifer and Tyler, preparing for retirement. "You've turned my company into a true family business," he said in a meeting. "And I couldn't be happier about it." The transportation and air taxi company had grown significantly, but it always maintained the family-oriented and personal touch that set it apart from large corporations. Emily graduated with honors in business administration and immediately took on a management position in the company. Her personal experience with overcoming adversity and gratitude made her a natural leader, respected by all the employees. Michael, who now visited regularly and had a better relationship with Emily, sometimes joked that she had inherited his talent for business, but thankfully, her mother's heart. "It's funny how life changes," Jennifer said to Tyler one evening as they watched Charlotte sleep. "How so?" he asked. "5 years ago I was desperate, with no money, almost losing my daughter," Jennifer reflected. "Now I have a complete family, a job I love, and a life I never imagined possible." "And all because you had the courage to shout," Tyler said, smiling. "No," Jennifer corrected. "All because you had the heart to listen to my cry." They sat in silence for a few minutes, simply appreciating the moment of peace and gratitude. "Tyler," Jennifer said suddenly. "Yes," he replied. "Thank you for changing your mind about taking off that day," she said. "Thank you for shouting," he answered. And so 5 years after that day at the airport, Jennifer Parker understood perfectly that sometimes the most desperate moments in life can turn into the most blessed. Her cry of despair had become the beginning of a new life, full of love, family, and hope. Emily, now a 20-year-old young woman, worked alongside her mother and was engaged to a young man she had met in college. Harold, despite being 70, remained active and loved spoiling his granddaughters, Charlotte, and soon, his future great-grandchildren. Dr. Richard, who had followed Emily's entire recovery, always used her case in his medical lectures as an example of how medicine goes beyond technical procedures. Sometimes faith and fighting against all odds are necessary. The story of the Parker-Wilson family had become well known in the town of Clearwater as an example of how human kindness and determination can overcome the greatest adversities. But to them, it wasn't a story of triumph to be told. It was simply their life, built day by day with love, hard work, and gratitude. "Mom," Emily said one afternoon as they organized documents in the company office, "sometimes I think about what our life would be like if you hadn't shouted that day." "Don't think about that," Jennifer replied. "What matters is the life we have now." "But it's interesting to imagine," Emily insisted. "Maybe I wouldn't have survived. Maybe you wouldn't have met Tyler. Maybe Harold wouldn't have become our family. And maybe you wouldn't have your little sister, wouldn't be engaged, wouldn't be working at a company you consider your second home," Jennifer added. "Too many maybes." "That's why I'm grateful every day," Emily said. "Because you had the courage to shout when you needed to." That evening, during family dinner, Harold made a special announcement. "I have news for you all," he said with a mysterious smile. "What news?" Tyler asked. "I've decided to make official something that's been a reality for a long time," Harold said. "You're all going to become my legal heirs." "What do you mean?" Jennifer asked, surprised. "I went to the notary today and updated my will," Harold explained. "When I'm gone, everything I have will be divided equally among the three of you, Jennifer, Tyler, and Emily." "Harold, you don't have to do this," Jennifer protested. "Yes, I do," he insisted. "You're my family. You're the people I chose to love and who love me back. I don't know a better definition of family than that. "And what about Charlotte?" asked Emily. "Charlotte already has an educational fund I created for her," said Harold. "When she turns 18, she'll have enough money to study wherever she wants and start her life however she chooses." Everyone was moved by Harold's gesture. Once again, he showed that family isn't just about blood, but about choice and love. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. 2 years had passed since that conversation. Harold, now 72, remained healthy and active, but had officially handed over the company presidency to Jennifer, staying on only as an advisor. Tyler had become the director of aviation operations, expanding the company's services to nearby cities. Emily, newly married, had taken over administrative leadership and was already expecting her first child. Charlotte, now 4 years old, was the family's joy. Chatty and curious like her mother, she loved spending time at the company office, where everyone doted on her. "Grandpa Harold," Charlotte said one afternoon, sitting on his lap as he reviewed some documents, "why don't you have real children?" The innocent question caught Harold off guard. He glanced at Jennifer, who was nearby, and smiled. "But I do have real children," he replied. "Your mother, your father, and your sister, Emily, are my real children." "But they weren't born from your belly," insisted Charlotte, with the relentless logic of a 4-year-old. "No," Harold agreed, "but they were born from my heart, and that's even more special." Charlotte seemed satisfied with the answer and went back to playing with the colorful papers Harold always left on the desk for her. That same day, Dr. Richard called the office. It had been years since he'd had direct contact with the family, but he always heard news through mutual acquaintances. "Jennifer," he said when she answered, "I have some interesting news to share with you." "What news, doctor?" asked Jennifer. "Remember the experimental medication that saved—" "Emily?" Dr. Richard asked. "Of course," Jennifer replied. "How could I forget? It's just been officially approved by regulatory agencies," the doctor announced. "Emily was one of the first people in the world to receive this treatment, and now it's available to all patients who need it." "That's wonderful," Jennifer said, emotional. "What's even more interesting is that the lab that developed the medication wants to do a feature story on the first patients who received the treatment." Dr. Richard continued, "They'd like to interview Emily." "A feature story?" Jennifer asked. "Yes, to show how the medication transformed lives," the doctor explained. "It would be inspiring for other patients and families going through the same situation." Jennifer talked to Emily about the proposal, and she immediately agreed. The idea of helping other families facing similar struggles deeply motivated her. The story was filmed at the hospital where Emily had been treated. During the interview, she shared the whole journey, from the first symptoms to her full recovery, including the moment Jennifer almost fled Clearwater. "What stood out most to me in this experience," Emily told the camera, "was realizing that sometimes angels appear in our lives in ways we don't expect. My mother found extraordinary people right when she needed them most." "You're referring to Mr. Harold and Tyler?" the journalist asked. "Yes," Emily confirmed. "They had no obligation to help us, but they chose to make a difference. And they made all the difference." "And what message would you leave for families going through similar situations?" asked the journalist. "Never give up," Emily replied without hesitation. "Seek help, have faith, and believe there's always a chance for things to get better, even when all seems lost." The report aired on a regional health program and had a huge impact. Many people contacted the hospital asking about the treatment, and some families called Harold's company directly, wanting to hear the story in more detail. "You've become celebrities," Michael joked during one of his monthly visits. "That wasn't our goal," Jennifer laughed. "We just wanted our story to help others." "And it is," Michael said. "I heard 3 families have already gotten the same treatment for their children after seeing the report." This news filled everyone with pride. Knowing their painful experience was now saving other lives gave even greater meaning to their journey. Months later, Harold received an unexpected call. It was from a family in another state who had seen the report and were facing a similar situation. They wanted to know if Harold could help them, as he had helped Emily. "Mr. Harold," the woman on the line said, "my son has the same illness Emily had, We got the medication, but we don't have the money for the full treatment. Harold, listen to their story. The 12-year-old boy had been hospitalized for weeks. His parents had exhausted their savings, and they still needed $50,000 to complete the treatment. "What's your son's name?" Harold asked. "Ethan," the mother replied. "Ethan James Mitchell." Mrs. Harold realized he didn't know her name. "Amanda," she said. "Amanda Mitchell." "Mrs. Amanda, I'll transfer the money today," Harold said. "Give me the hospital's banking details." "Really?" Amanda asked, stunned. "You don't even know me." "I don't need to," Harold replied. "I know you're a mother who loves her son and needs help. That's enough for me." When Harold told his family about the call and his decision to help, they were moved but not surprised. They knew his generous heart well. "Will you help every time someone calls?" Tyler asked. "I'll help whenever I can," Harold confirmed. "God gave me more money than I need. If I can use it to save lives, why wouldn't I?" "Uncle," Tyler said, "what if we created something more organized, a foundation or a fund to help families in similar situations?" The idea pleased everyone. In the following weeks, with the help of lawyers and accountants, they established the Emily Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to helping families afford expensive medical treatments. Jennifer became the organization's president, Tyler handled operations, and Emily took charge of communications and fundraising. Harold was the primary donor, but they also began receiving contributions from others in the community. "It's amazing," Emily said at a foundation meeting 6 months later. "We've already helped 15 families, and we're just getting started," Harold added. "With the donations coming in, we can help many more." The Emily Foundation gave their lives even greater purpose. They had turned their personal suffering into a force for helping others. Dr. Richard became a volunteer medical consultant, reviewing cases and guiding families on the best available treatments. "You've created something truly special," he said at one meeting. "It's rare to see people turn trauma into something so positive." "We learned that our pain only made sense when we could use it to ease the pain of others," reflected Jennifer. 1 year after creating the foundation, they organized the first fundraising benefit. It was a company party with live music, regional food, and presentations from the families they had helped. Amanda Mitchell, the mother who had called Harold, came from another state with her son, Ethan, now fully recovered. When she saw Harold, she couldn't hold back her tears. "Thank you," she said, hugging him. "You saved my son." "We saved your son," Harold corrected. "Because now we're all one big family helping each other." During the event, Emily gave an emotional speech about the importance of solidarity and hope. She was 7 months pregnant and radiated happiness. "When I was lying in that hospital bed, thinking I was leaving this world," she said, "I never imagined I'd one day be here, expecting my own daughter and helping other families avoid what we went through. Life has its ironies," she added. "What seems like the end can actually be a new beginning." The event was a success. They raised enough funds to help 20 more families and gained new volunteers for the organization. Charlotte, now 5 years old, also participated. She had understood in the way a child does that her family helped other families with sick children. "Mommy," she said to Jennifer during the party, "when I grow up, I want to help sick kids too." "And you will," Jennifer replied. "We can all help in some way." 2 months after the event, Emily gave birth to a healthy baby girl named Olivia. Harold was at the hospital, as emotional as if he were her biological grandfather. "Another girl. For the family," he said, cradling Olivia. "This house is going to get livelier and livelier." "And another future volunteer for the Emily Foundation," Tyler joked. That night, as the family gathered to meet Olivia, Jennifer had a moment of deep reflection. She looked around and saw Emily, recovered and happy with her daughter, Charlotte, playing with Uncle Tyler, Harold already setting up a savings account for his new granddaughter, and felt overwhelming gratitude. "What are you thinking about?" Tyler asked, sitting beside her. "How much our family has grown," Jennifer replied. "It started with just Emily and me, 2 scared, lonely people. Now we're... How many are we?" "Well," Tyler counted. "You, me, Emily's husband, Harold, Charlotte, Olivia, 7 official people. But if we count Dr. Richard, who's become part of the family, the foundation staff who practically live with us, the families we've helped who always keep in touch, Jennifer began. We're dozens, Tyler finished. A huge, scattered family, but united by love and gratitude. And it all started with a scream, Jennifer reflected. A scream of despair that turned into a song of joy, Tyler said poetically. 6 years after that day at the airport, Jennifer Parker's life was unrecognizable compared to what it had been. She had become a respected businesswoman, president of a charity, a beloved wife and mother of 2. Emily, now 21, was Olivia's mother and director of a thriving company. She had grown into a wise and generous young woman, her experience with illness making her even more empathetic and determined. Harold, at 73, was the beloved patriarch of a large, close-knit family. In the Parker-Wilson family, he had found the purpose he'd searched for decades to find. Tyler had found fulfillment not just as a husband and father, but also as a businessman and as a person. That young pilot who had compassion for a desperate woman had become a mature and successful man. The Emily Foundation had helped over 100 families and become a regional reference for supporting expensive medical treatments. The organization had grown so much that it now had its own headquarters and a team of employees. You know, Harold said during a family meeting, sometimes I think Emily got sick so you could find me. How so? Jennifer asked. I was getting old alone, without purpose, Harold explained. I had money but no family. I had success but no joy. You gave me all of that. And you gave us life, Emily replied. Literally gave me life. No, Harold corrected. I only helped. The one who gave you life was your mother, who never gave up on you and yourself for fighting to live. That evening, Jennifer was putting Charlotte to bed when the girl asked an unexpected question. Mommy, why did you yell for Daddy not to take off in the plane that day? The question caught Jennifer off guard. Charlotte knew the family story, but had never asked about that specific detail. Because I was scared, Jennifer answered honestly. Scared of what? Charlotte pressed. Scared of leaving your sister Emily alone when she needed me the most, Jennifer explained. Sometimes when we're terrified of losing someone we love, we do things that don't make much sense. But it worked out, Charlotte observed, with the simple wisdom of children. It worked out, Jennifer agreed. Sometimes even our mistakes can turn into blessings. And what if you hadn't yelled? Charlotte asked. Then I wouldn't have met your father, you wouldn't have been born, Emily might not have survived, and Grandpa Harold would still be alone, Jennifer replied. A lot of bad things could have happened. So it was good that you yelled, Charlotte concluded. It was very good, Jennifer agreed, kissing her daughter's forehead. Sometimes the best things in life start with our scariest moments. The following month, the family received unexpected news. The lab that had developed the medicine that saved Emily wanted to honor them at an international medical conference. They want Emily to share her story with doctors from around the world, Dr. Richard explained during a call. It would be an opportunity to inspire healthcare professionals to never give up on their patients. But the conference is in another country, Jennifer said. And you know we have our rule about not traveling far. Actually, Dr. Richard said, they offered to do the presentation by video call. Emily could participate without leaving home. The family discussed the proposal and decided to accept. It was a chance to inspire doctors to keep fighting for their patients, even in seemingly hopeless cases. The presentation was a success. Emily told her story with natural emotion, showing photos of her recovery and speaking about the importance of family and medical support. Medicine saved my life, she told the doctors tuning in worldwide, but it was the people around me who gave me reasons to want to live. Afterward, they received messages from doctors in various countries, thanking them for the inspiration and promising never to give up on their toughest patients. You've inspired doctors all over the world, Dr. Richard said proudly. This could save many lives. And it all started because a desperate mother yelled for a plane not to take off, Tyler reflected. The best stories always begin unexpectedly, Harold said. A year after the conference presentation, the family received a special letter, from a doctor in Germany who had watched Emily's speech. "Dear Parker Wilson family," the letter began, "I want you to know that your story saved a life here in Germany. After hearing Emily speak about never giving up, I decided to try an experimental treatment on a girl everyone considered a lost cause. She made a full recovery. Thank you for reminding me why I became a doctor." The letter moved the entire family deeply. Knowing their story had inspired a doctor on the other side of the world to save a life was something they could never have imagined. "Our story traveled farther than any airplane," Tyler joked, "and saved lives in places we've never even been," Jennifer added. That evening during dinner, Harold shared a thought that would stay with them forever. "Do you realize all this happened because Jennifer had the courage to scream?" he said. "If she had swallowed her fear and let the plane take off, none of this would have happened." "True," Emily agreed. "Sometimes we need to scream to be heard." "And sometimes we need to hear other people's screams," Tyler added, "because behind every scream is a story worth knowing. And sometimes," Jennifer finished, "our screams of despair turn into songs of joy." Charlotte, now 6 years old and always attentive to adult conversations, made an observation that surprised everyone. "Mommy," she said, "do you think other people need to scream so Daddy doesn't let planes take off?" The question made everyone laugh, but also sparked an interesting reflection. "I don't know," Jennifer replied, "but I know your father will always listen when someone needs help. And our family will always help those in need," Emily added. "Because that's what families do," Harold concluded. "They help each other and others." 7 years after that day at the airport, the Parker Wilson family had become a symbol of solidarity in Clearwater. The Emily Foundation had helped over 200 families. Harold's company had become one of the largest in the region, and their story had inspired others to create similar organizations. Jennifer, now 42, had grown into a mature and fulfilled woman. Tyler, at 35, was a respected businessman and a devoted husband and father. Emily, 22, was a young mother and entrepreneur, an example of resilience for many. Harold, despite being 74, remained active and healthy, cherishing every moment with his chosen family. "You know what amazes me most about this whole story?" Harold said one afternoon as he watched Charlotte and Olivia playing in the company's backyard. "What?" Jennifer asked. "How a decision made in seconds can change so many lives forever," he reflected. "If Tyler had ignored your scream, if I had refused to help, if Dr. Richard had given up on Emily's case, it's not worth thinking about what could have been different," Jennifer interrupted. "What matters is what actually happened." "And what happened was magic," Tyler said, joining the conversation. "It wasn't magic," Emily corrected. "It was love, a mother's love, the generosity of strangers who became family, and faith that things could get better. And a little bit of magic, too," Tyler insisted, smiling. That afternoon, as the family gathered for tea in the company office, a ritual they'd developed over the years, Jennifer looked around and felt a deep peace. Emily was nursing 6-month-old Olivia while discussing new business projects with her husband. Charlotte was drawing at a small table Harold had placed there just for her. Harold sorted through papers, but kept one eye on his granddaughters. Tyler was planning the flights for the following week, but kept stopping to play with the girls or chat with the family. It was a scene of domestic harmony Jennifer had never imagined possible on that desperate day at the airport. "Tyler," she said suddenly. "Yeah, love?" he replied, looking up from the flight maps. "Thank you," she said simply. "For what?" he asked, smiling. "For shutting off the plane's engine that day," Jennifer answered. "For hearing me when I needed to be heard." "Thank you," Tyler said, "for shouting." "Are you two still talking about that day?" Harold asked, amused. "We'll always talk about that day," Jennifer said. "It was the day our lives truly began." "No," Harold corrected. "It was the day our lives found each other. They existed before, but that was the day they made sense." As the sun set over Clearwater, the Parker Wilson family remained gathered, planning the future, remembering the past and enjoying the present. Outside on the small airport's runway, the same plane where it had all begun stood parked, ready for its next flight. But this time there would be no desperate screams, only the gentle hum of engines carrying people to their destinations. And in the town, other families who had been helped by the Emily Foundation went about their lives, knowing that somewhere there were people who cared about them, people who had turned their own pain into a force to ease the pain of others. Jennifer Parker's story had begun with a desperate cry, but it had become a symphony of hope that echoed far beyond the borders of Clearwater, inspiring people never to give up, to always help, and to believe that even in the darkest moments, there could be light at the end of the tunnel. And every time a plane took off from that small airport, someone remembered the woman who had once shouted to stop it from leaving, and how that shout had changed so many lives for the better. End of story. Now, tell us what you thought of the story and where you're watching from. If you have something to share with us, leave your sincere words in the comments. Do you think Jennifer made the right choice by shouting to stop the plane? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories.